Hi, my name is Taylor Drayton, and this is my persuasive speech. My persuasive speech will be on distracted driving. Distracted driving is not only one of the worst things that you could do while driving, or anywhere really, is because of how many deaths and injuries that it causes and accidents and stuff kind of like that. Distracted driving doesn't just include texting, calling, stuff like that, but it includes like changing the radio, GPS signals, anything really like that, checking Snapchat as us teens do nowadays. Every year, 500,000 wrecks, like deaths and injuries, like together, are from distracted driving, and that's just in the US. And in the state of Florida, 6 out of 10 teen wrecks were because of distracted driving. That's actually 12% of it, and 15 was just because of like other passengers in your cars and like them being on their phones, that type of stuff. As of like any daytime hours, like across the entire US, 660,000 like adults and teens together are on their phones or any some sort of electronics like the radio or anything like that. So 660,000 US citizens while on the road are distracted by some sort of their electronics that they have. When texting and driving, the reason it is so deadly is because it only takes 5 seconds, like looking down at your phone or changing the radio or doing some sort of thing like that, like reading off of somebody else's phone, taking a picture, that type of stuff. Just looking away from the road for just 5 seconds can cause a crash. Just that simple. There's 3 main parts, like kind of like that go to the 5-second rule. It's the 3 things are visual, manual, and cognitive. Visual is watching, because obviously when you are looking at your phone or somebody else's phone or the radio or your GPS system or anything like that that you have, you are not watching the road, obviously, and not watching the road is a huge part of why people either slowly drift off into the other lane or drift off into the ditch or hit something that's in front of them that they couldn't see because they were too busy looking down at some Snapchat that one of their teens had sent them. The second thing is the manual, which is your hands. And obviously if you are like one hand on the wheel looking down texting, it's obviously pretty hard. Like if you're on icy roads or anywhere really, it's kind of hard to control with just one hand on the wheel. And that's pretty rough because a lot of people drive with their knees when they're texting, or if they don't think that they're driving fast enough to get into an actual accident and that type of thing. So when they're driving without their hands, that really brings it right back to the 5 seconds, or just 5 seconds without your hands or even looking at the road together is a pretty deadly combination. And the third thing is the cognitive, and that is when, like, if you're looking down at your phone, you obviously won't be focusing on the road anymore or any of the road conditions, because you'll just be too busy focusing on the text that your mom had sent you or the Snapchat that one of your friends had sent, stuff like that, where your mind should be completely focused on the road or in your surroundings when you are driving. And if you get a text or anything from your friends, that means your mind is just not on the road anymore, and that is very dangerous, because that's the one thing that when people get into accidents, they don't know what happened because they really don't know. They weren't paying attention to anything on the road. And so that ties it back to the whole 5 seconds. Just 5 seconds without looking at the road and doing those 3 things can lead to a very deadly and serious car crash and that type of thing. And it's really hard because the only solution to this, only solution to distracted driving is to eliminate the distraction, and that's obviously means just, I wouldn't say getting rid of your phone, but putting it in airplane mode. And there's these things called text blockers. That is an app where you can get on your phone and it would turn off, or like if you got a text message from, or some sort of notification, if you're driving faster than the speed of 10 miles per hour, it will shut off your phone to where you can't hear that anymore, or you won't even be able to see a notification, where it just won't be a distraction for you or anyone else, because you won't even know that there's anything on it. And yeah, there's other things like that, where there's like voice texters, where if you do get a text message, it will read off the text for you, like aloud. I mean, that is a little safer than obviously reading the text yourself, but it is not as safe as the text blockers, because it would require you to get onto your phone to text back, and that's just as bad as reading a text yourself. So obviously the only solution is to eliminate the distraction, which is to, like I said, turn it on airplane mode, or put it on, or get the app, the text blockers. That can really, really help you, because you won't be distracted by anything, because you won't know that you have notification. And yeah, like I was saying, texting and driving is very, very bad, and it's not something that any parent would want to hear their kid doing, as most kids or teens who are able to drive would deny that they had ever used their phone in some sort of way while they were driving, and adults say the same thing too. Everyone does the same for themselves. We all know this, we all deny it, and it sucks because 660,000 people during the daytime, just the daytime, are using some sort of electronic in their car while driving. And that's very scary, thinking that while you're on the highway coming home, you see a vehicle in front of you, you don't know if they're just gonna randomly veer off into the next lane and hit your car, because that's usually, they wouldn't know because they're too busy distracted looking at their phone or changing the radio because they don't like the song that's on. And that's very dangerous, because every single time that you pass a vehicle, like going head on with another vehicle, you are just 3 feet away from death. And thinking that every time that you're on the road just driving, you're seriously 3 feet away from death every time that a vehicle is coming towards you. And that's pretty scary to think, especially if you're a parent and you have kids in the car. That's all you're thinking of is your kids. And if a person in a semi is coming next or up to you in your minivan and they're sitting there texting and driving, that's not very good. Like, statistically wise, your minivan probably wouldn't survive that crash against a semi. And that's how most crashes are. The bigger vehicle doesn't know what they're doing that's bad, and they end up smashing head on with another vehicle. And that's one of the worst things that can happen. And another thing that can be tied into texting and driving or distracted driving is also buzz driving. And that is just as horrible as texting and driving, so like buzz driving. If, like, warning signs, we should all know them, that if you know that you shouldn't be driving, you shouldn't drive, because that is right up there with texting and driving on the statistics, and it's pretty horrible. And so the only solution to that one is to get a designated driver, someone that you know won't drink and will be able to take you home safely. And same with texting and driving, the only solution is to eliminate the distraction. So if you need a ride, text someone to give you a ride. That'll be ways to keep the roads safe and away from distracted drivers. And yeah, the only solution is to eliminate the distraction. So apps like called the text blocker and putting it in airplane mode are your safest options when it comes to texting and driving. Thank you.